go there, and that has broken my heart. I believe we should be live on there as well. Oh, I love this setup. Oh, you're not able to. If you go to YouTube and type at Nyereka, I believe we should be live on there as well. Oh, I love this setup. It should give you. Oh, you're not able to. Pocketbook Wellness. If you go to YouTube and station, type Pocketbook Wellness Station at Nyereka, Nyereka. I believe we should be live on there as well. Oh, I love this setup. It should give you. Oh, you're not able to. Pocketbook Wellness. If you go to YouTube and station, type Pocketbook Wellness Station at Nyereka, Nyereka. Were you able to find it? It's like right here. Oh, I love this setup. It should give you. Oh, you're not able to. Pocketbook Wellness. If you go to YouTube and station, type Pocketbook Wellness Station. Oh, amazing. Amazing. I think I'm going to transition from here to there. Like right here. The slides just look so much better there, and then we can have a chat. Thank you. And Keys, I don't think you can hear me, but it was nice to meet you at the awards. Hopefully you can join us. I'm going to transition from here. Hopefully you can join us on the YouTube side. Right here. The slides just good look evening. So much better there, and then we can have a chat. Thank you. And Keys, I don't think you can hear me, but it was nice to meet you at the awards. Hopefully you can join us. I'm going to transition from here. Hopefully you can join us on the YouTube side. Right here. The slides just good look evening. So much better there, and then we can have a chat. Thank you. And Keys, I don't think you can hear me, but it was nice to meet you at the awards. Hopefully you can join us. I'm going to transition from here. Hopefully you can join us on the YouTube side. The slides just good look evening. So much better there, and then we can have a chat. Thank you. And oh, awesome! That went by without a hitch. I like that. That was great. That was absolutely great. So today we'll be covering what happened in the market, and I'm specifically talking about things that could affect your bottom line. We will be focusing on two things. First of all, the comments that Trump made on Greenland, and still insisting. I think people find it a little bit strange that where did this come from? These guys just started talking about Greenland all of a sudden, and everyone with a sane mind has the same question, like, what exactly is the matter with Greenland? And why does he want to buy it? I found it was a very interesting story because it's not quite out of the blue. And as Canadians, it actually extends to something that we do care about, which is the Northern Pass. So I guess the first search that we will do is go into some of the commentary that he has actually done, and yeah, and let's talk about it. So let's first of all find out where Greenland is. I know a few people might be a little bit confused, but yes, let's find out where Greenland is. So Greenland is right here. I hope you can see the screen. If you can see the screen and you can hear me well, please let me know. I am also going to join the live. Oh, and thank you so much for subscribing. Make sure you're clicking that like button and keeping this going. So yes, hello Dr. Ife, and there's 4 more people coming in. So yeah, so this is, in a nutshell, this is Greenland, and you can see it's right off the Newfoundland coast. And the thing that you find interesting about Greenland itself is that it actually belonged to Holland. And one of the things that fascinated me when I was looking into this, it's how much of a protected state it is, because half of it is covered in ice, and it does not have the means to protect itself. So it's a few kilometers, well, a few miles off of the Canadian border, but Americans are interested in it because they see it as, if you have heard of the Northern Passage, this is the opportunity to cross here. If you are able to look at my screen, if you can see my screen, just give me a number in the chat. It doesn't matter which number, just pick your favorite number. I need you to be able to see my screen, because the Northern Pass is an opportunity for new commerce to start passing through the northern side of Canada. The Northern Pass opportunity. And I know that the Americans are interested in controlling it because China is interested in controlling it. Opportunity. Northern Pass. Oh my God. Anyway, that did not come up with. So Greenland itself, we'll go through a brief history. Let's just look at how many times that the US tried to buy it. This is not the first time that the US tried to buy Greenland. So this is how many times the US tried to buy it. So they're according to Wikipedia, there are so many, there are different reasons. I'm not going to read this word for word. I'll just pick and choose which size that I read, and we'll keep this moving. So this is like reasons for purchase. In 1261, the News colonies under Greenland accepted Norwegian overlord ship. So this is very important because at that point they belonged to Norway. And then that was passed down to Denmark and Norway. And in more recent times, since 1823, the United States has, in the Monroe Doctrine, opposed expansion of foreign sovereignty into the Americas. And because of the proximity, like we just saw, Greenland is kind of close to US and Canada, they think that's part of the Americas. And the main thing that happened is, after the German invasion of Denmark as part of World War II, Greenland was now, after Denmark was taken over, Greenland naturally would belong to whoever has conquered Denmark, which at that time would be Nazi Germany. And you can see why that would be unacceptable for the US to have Nazi Germany in the proximity of North America. Especially at that time, for those who are aware, the biggest wars that were happening were U-boat wars, and to have Nazi Germany have a place to land and repair their U-boats, that would be unacceptable to the US. If you're in the chat, please subscribe, leave a like, of course. That just gives the chat a little bit more energy. So that when Germany invaded Denmark and took over Denmark in April 9th, 1940, in the World War II, the beginning of it, that really complicated the ownership of Greenland. So the US landed armed US Coast Guard personnel, the USSG Nordland, WPG-49, in Greenland to hold the territory. Prior to landing, they had to formally discharge them so that it's not an invasion. Okay, so that they're not violating international law. Now, that's a bit comical because we are not so sure if they're as sensitive to international law anymore. But when after World War II ended in 1946, the Chief of Staff listed Greenland and Iceland as three of the essential international locations for American bases. So this is when America pretty much won World War II. It came out as the strongest nation, and they wanted to make sure that they have a base on Iceland, Greenland, and I think Panama is there somewhere. Greenland is on the shortest polar route between Washington and Moscow, so it's a very interesting military base. And I say all of this to say, when you hear Trump say that he wants to buy it, it means he does not want to compete for it with the Chinese, because the Chinese have a different way of competing for territory. They use what is called debt trap democracy. Debt trap diplomacy. Debt trap diplomacy. They ask you what you want to build, something on your wish list. They come and they build it for an exorbitant amount. Then you owe them forever, and they come in, they put a base. You give them one of those 99-year leases. Anyway, so it has not been settled who actually owns it, but in 1953, the U.S. built the Thule Air Base in northern Greenland, and from 1959 it was part of NORAD. Okay, so this was a significant base, and at that time in 59 the Cold War was going on, so the key opponent there was Russia. They were worried that Russia would have interest in it, but the Cold War ended and they lost interest in Greenland until more recently. So more recently in 2019, Greenland asked the United States for an aerial survey planned before but occurred at the Trump administration. In 2019, Greenland asked the United States for an aerial survey planned before but occurring after the Trump administration's purchase proposal. The United States used hyperspectral imaging over, I can't pronounce this, Garol. Oh, I'm terrible at pronouncing this. But anyway, they used that for searching of mineral resources in April 2022. And they accepted a 12 million American grant. Denmark in December 2019 approved the Trump administration's request for a consulate in Greenland. So Denmark is of the position that Greenland is going to get independence sooner or later. Reuters described Greenland in October 2020 as a security black hole for the United States and allies, and that its 27,000 miles of coastline was difficult to monitor. So this is mostly shoreline that is tough to monitor. On several occasions in 2006, foreign vessels have turned up unexpectedly without the necessary protocols in waters that NATO member Denmark aims to defend. So Denmark is all the way over there, and it cannot defend Greenland. So let me show you how far Denmark is. Okay, Greenland to Denmark. Distance. So this is how far they are from each other. Okay, if you can see, I'm somebody who bikes a lot, so a few kilometers I can cover. I've even biked 1,500 kilometers. But between Greenland and Denmark is an insane amount of kilometers. 2,950 and 20. So, and Denmark is not very strong that it can protect Greenland at any time. So you can see why the United States is interested, because that's part of NATO. And this is where China enters. As part of the Chinese Arctic policy, in 2018, they declared themselves an Arctic state, because they do have a little bit of a rub with the Arctic somewhere here. Before, where is China? Like somewhere here. It's a bit fugazi because they are not really Arctic, because the Arctic Ocean is here and they're all the way over here. But they declared themselves an Arctic state, and the Chinese interest started growing in 2005. You must understand, in 2005, the Chinese are already at the stage where they're a middle income country, and now they're looking for the expansion. So this is another piece of evidence that the two empire building countries, China and the US, are kind of clashing on this Greenland thing. So I'll read another part of the Chinese interest. Chinese state-owned mining company Shanghai Resources owns 12.5% of Greenland Minerals, which in 2018 agreed to let Shanghai oversee extraction of Kvanefeld. Oh, I'm pronouncing this terribly, I know, but please leave a like and subscribe. I will continue trying my best to pronounce these things. Anyway, China starts collaborating with Greenland on scientific projects and encourages Chinese cultural activities. And as part of their own cultural exchange, they bring their own people to work on some of the exploration. They bought the rights to 12.5% of Greenland. So you can see why Trump wants to purchase it and buy it all in one, because if China's allowed to buy another 12%, then it's 25%. So now China has 25% ownership in a place that NATO protects, that they can have their own sovereignty start to being established in their sphere of influence. You can see why Trump is very insistent. So it's not out of the blue. It's both military and economic. All right, so these are the proposals. I will not go much further into it, but let me know if you think that Trump should pursue this purchase. I will move on to the NVIDIA stock and why it dropped today. Any questions? Any questions? All right, let's move on to the NVIDIA stock and why it dropped today. All right, so for those who are old enough to remember, the NVIDIA stock has been very hot. Literally from 2020, let's see. And by the way, let me know if you can hear me well. Type in the chat number 1 if you can hear me well. Type in the chat number 1 if you can hear me well. Thank you. So NVIDIA has been hot since this AI boom began. Now, in 2016, it was trading at $2.74. Today, it's trading at 140. So it has been the talk of the town for quite a bit, especially starting in 2022, when the AI boom started becoming a thing. However, today it's actually down significantly. It's down 6%. Now, the reason why this is important is that it has a very large market cap. So it has 3.43 trillion in market cap. To compare that with the Canadian GDP, oh, amazing. Thank you, Dr. Ife. The Canadian GDP is 2.14 trillion. NVIDIA's market cap is 3.43 trillion. Does that shock you? Let me know. So whenever NVIDIA falls 6%, it's like the Canadian economy falling twice as much. So it's always very important to track what effect that has to the market. And that's very interesting because for the past 2 or 3 years, about 10% plus of the growth of the S&P 500 in the global markets have been as a result of NVIDIA itself as a stock. So that has been very, very important for people who are in the business of saving or buying investments. So that's why I say that this is extremely important that we discuss whenever it came out. So what made it fall today? So we'll take one of the articles and see what exactly happened. Are you excited to see what happened with NVIDIA today? And how could you survive this? Okay, so we'll go into this business daily. All right, so the first thing that you will know about the stock market once you, somebody who did some trading in the stock market. By the way, my name is JP. I'm a financial wellness expert. I will do these talks for my members every once in a while, just so we can discuss something that affects our pockets. And NVIDIA being down is something that affects our pockets. So leave a like and subscribe, be one of the members, and hopefully you can learn a thing or two. So NVIDIA had a show today that was showcasing how AI is going to get into the physical form. And they actually did very well, at least from the reviews of Wall Street. But because the way the stock works, sometimes there's this thing called, they say, you buy the rumor, you sell the news. So this means if there's a rumor that Apple is coming up with iPhone 15, you buy it up to the point that iPhone 15 is distributed to the market or announced when the market has all the information. And once it gets there, it's going to fall sharply because the excitement is now out of the room. So it's not like it's impaired or the stock is bad. It's just that the excitement has reduced and most people are selling the news because they either reach their target or the speculators got out of the way, and the long-term holders, they don't really sell the stock. The ones that are short-term holders are the ones who sell and go in and out. So I'm glad that we had a chance to see NVIDIA fall on good news, because it's actually good news. So I'm going to read this to you. Late Monday, Huang, this is the chief executive, Jensen Huang, delivered a positive update on the company's Blackwell launch. He introduced new products and outlined the path to physical AI. And everybody loved it. Late Monday, Huang gave opening keynote address at the trade show. The tech visionary received a rockstar welcome from the more than 6,000 attendees at the Michelob Ultra Arena at Mandala Bay. It was fitting since the arena was previously has hosted such rockers as Ozzy Osbourne and Iron Maiden. Now, I find it very interesting that nowadays CEOs are rock stars, and I believe that they are also embracing it. If you can see him in my presentation, he is actually wearing a leather jacket. He is actually walking around with like some leather on his person. Like he's not presenting himself as a stuffy tie wearing, suit wearing executive. He's actually just telling you, I'm a regular guy, I'm cool, I'm a rock star. And I find that very interesting that, now we're seeing CEOs as rock stars. And in the past 24 months, there's no much bigger rock star than this guy. This guy has created an abundance of wealth for a whole lot of people who invested in NVIDIA. So the stock had hit a record high, and it sank after that. The key takeaway was that, according to Rosenblatt securities analyst Hans Mosesmann, his buy rating on the stock, buy rating means he actually says it's going to keep going up. So keep purchasing. He said our key takeaway is that NVIDIA continues to enhance and develop both AI hardware, software offerings that will help maintain its AI leadership as the market transitions to physical AI. Now, this is something that might help you in your own personal life to find a way to incorporate AI in what you're doing. Today, I will actually show you something that I use. It's called napkin.ai. So every time that I'm faced with how do I develop a visual that communicates with the people, okay, I have to make an assertion of like, okay, what's the cleanest way I can show people how to manage their finances, how to get on top of their finances. Guess what's really, really helpful with that? AI is very helpful with that. This is an example of something that I did recently. So I wanted to express an article that I read that 75% of people regret not taking control of their actions earlier as far as their finances are concerned. But when you write that, people don't really like to read. Like when people read, they somehow don't take it in. So I have this AI that helps me to create a picture of what I'm trying to say. So I just type in or like put the article in, and then I asked it to generate different things, and this is what it generated for me. As you can see, this is a lot clearer than if I had to find different ways of expressing it myself. So I say that to say this: NVIDIA, being one of the largest stocks in the market, is telling us that this AI piece is going into the physical space. So I implore you, as somebody who came on the live, who came on the chat, who's willing to invest in yourself, please consider this message to take AI seriously, and then go home and find a way to incorporate AI into what you're doing. Okay, the best place to start is figure out what you want to do the most, and then find an AI that does it. And I guarantee you there's an AI that does it. I would hazard you before paying for an AI service. Before paying for an AI service, try to find one that actually gives it out for free. Okay, there are so many different AI options that are out here for free that you don't need to pay. I don't pay for napkin.ai. So if you are invested in NVIDIA, what should you do now that the stock is down? So it's down only for today. Okay, today is down 6%. On the week, on the 5 days, on I guess we're in a new month, it's only down, it's up 2%. But there's a chance that it's going to keep either at this level, but it's not going to keep accelerating as much as it did, or maybe it will. The moral of the story is that nobody actually ever knows where the stock is going. What you need to do is invest in something like the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is also down today because NVIDIA was down today. But S&P 500 is an index that contains all the stocks that are big in the US. And while NVIDIA has gone up significantly, in the last 5 years, the S&P 500 has also gone up significantly. The good thing that you get with buying the S&P 500 as opposed to try to pick stocks is that you are well diversified. You are covered with the biggest companies in the biggest market in the world, which is the US. What if you pick stocks? There's actually no evidence that there's anybody who can pick stocks successfully and be really, really good at it. And this goes into the trading versus investing conversation. People who buy stocks and go in and out a short period of times, those guys are called traders. And only about 3% of them are successful. So if you want your investments to do well, make sure that you're not a trader, you're an investor. Go through an investor risk profiler and know how much risk you can tolerate, and then buy well diversified indexes that gives you exposure to all the industries and give you exposure to many things that are happening. Do not try to look at NVIDIA and say, oh, it's been going out for 5 years. I bet it's going to keep continuing. That is not a good investment strategy. You have a higher chance of being so much better at your job and making twice the money than making money trading stocks. Because even the people who trade stocks, 97% are not successful. So if there's one takeaway you can take from this, is that we are not trading stocks and we are not going to be in the markets trying to pick stocks. Okay. All right, so that's what I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed this little live. Please click the like button and give me some encouragement. I enjoy doing these things, and I hope to do more for you as time comes. Subscribe as well. I would like to maybe get to 1,500 subscribers. It's been a joy. It's been a joy of mine spreading financial wellness. And if you have financial wellness questions, let me know. If you have stock market questions, let me know. You know, it's good that we learn together, because I say this all the time, especially in Canada. There are so many bad advisors waiting to give you bad advice that you have to empower yourself, please, to not take this bad advice. So please take it from me. I would like to give you as much knowledge as I can. I was in a banker for 12 years, and I did both commercial, I did business, I did investments, I did personal lending, I did commercial lending, I wrote policy. I want to give you as much knowledge as possible so you can go in the market with confidence that this is good knowledge that I have and nobody can give me bad advice. So give me a thumbs up in the chat or your favorite emoji and ask me a question, or I'll give you another topic. I was reading this week about how the Gen Zs are managing their money. If you would like to hear how Gen Z are managing their money, please let me know. All right, so this is another AI that I use. This is another AI that I use to help me read. This helps me take notes. Okay. So this is how Gen Z has a unique money mindset. I'm just gonna load it and we'll read it all together. Do you think Gen Z manages money differently? Let me know in the chat.
Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time we're looking at Gen Z and money, you know, their relationship with finances and all that. You sent in this really interesting article from the Spokesman Review. Really got me thinking about how this generation is, you know, handling financial wellness. It's a lot different than how we did it. I mean, they're dealing with some pretty crazy challenges, right? And college costs are insane these days. And the job market, it's like brutal. Oh, and don't even get me started on inflation. Everything's so expensive now.
Yeah, no kidding. It's definitely not the same world we grew up in. The economic landscape is just different. And it's, having a real impact on how Gen Z views money and their mental health, too. The article mentions that almost half of Gen Z say money negatively impacts their mental health,
Yeah.
which is kind of alarming when you think about it.
It's huge. Like, what are they, like, stressing about specifically? What are the big things keeping them up at night?
Well, the article cites this bank rate survey, and the number one stressor, just paying for everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Over 50% of the respondents said that keeping up with bills is, a major source of anxiety. It's not even about, like, saving for the future or anything like that. It's just surviving right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they're constantly in survival mode, just trying to, get by. It's got to be hard to even think about long-term financial planning when you're, like, that stressed all the time, right?
Absolutely. It's all about immediate needs, not future goals.
Yeah.
And, well, you can't really blame them. This is a generation that's already seen so much craziness, economically speaking. I mean, think about it. The Great Recession hit when a lot of them were like, kids. And then just as they're entering the workforce, bam, COVID. Another huge economic upheaval.
Oh, for sure. Like, how could those events not impact them? So it makes sense that they're, worried about things like inflation and job security. I mean, the survey said each of those impacts 50% of Gen Z. They've seen firsthand how quickly things can go south, how unstable the economy can be.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
they got a crash course in economic uncertainty.
Right.
And, that's not even factoring in student loan debt.
Ugh. Don't even get me started on student loans.
The article mentions that over 13 million Gen Zers have student loan debt. That's a lot of people.
It is. According to the Education Data Initiative, that's almost 44% of the entire 18 and over age group. It's a huge burden. No wonder it's weighing on their minds.
Right. And then there's, the whole legal battle around student loan forgiveness. Just adds another layer of uncertainty to the whole situation.
It's like they're trying to plan for the future on, like, quicksand.
Exactly. And that actually leads into another thing the article talks about. Gen Z's struggle with emergency savings.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. Over a quarter of them, they regret not having enough saved up for emergencies.
Which is, the highest percentage across all the generations.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising, right? Like, you think, well, they're young, they've got time to save.
Yeah, you'd think.
But then you look at, like, the cost of living. I mean, the article said the median rent in the U.S. is over $2,000 a month.
$2,000. Can you believe that?
And then food prices are through the roof. So, yeah, it's pretty clear why so many of them are living paycheck to paycheck.
It really is. 28% of Gen Z is living paycheck to paycheck. And get this, almost half of the ones who rely on, financial help from their parents, they're using it for housing. Makes you wonder how this reliance on family will impact their, long-term financial independence.
That's a great question. I mean, it's not like all doom and gloom, though, right? The article talks about how Gen Z is approaching money differently. They're tech-savvy, entrepreneurial. They're finding ways to adapt.
Oh, absolutely. They're not just sitting around waiting for things to happen. They're making things happen. For example, almost half of them have a side hustle.
Really?
The highest percentage of any generation. And it makes sense when you think about it. They've grown up with, the internet.
Did you know that half of Gen Z have a side hustle? Like, does this not catch you by surprise? Gen Z out here working hard, working extra hard.
At the gig economy, this whole idea of creating your own opportunities.
That entrepreneurial spirit totally comes through in the article. And they're definitely using technology to their advantage. I mean, over 2/3 of them bank online.
Right. Shows you how comfortable they are with, the whole digital world and how they're using that to potentially save money, find better deals.
Yeah. But even with all that, the article still points out that job security is a huge concern. Half of the people who said money impacts their mental health, they cited, unstable income and job security.
Yeah. It's like this underlying anxiety. It's always there. Even when they're, hustling on the side and using all the new financial tools, it makes you wonder about, like, the future of work, How do we create an environment that gives them more stability, more opportunity? Especially with technology changing how we work all the time.
Such a big question. It's not just about, personal finance tips anymore. It's about, like, societal shifts, policy changes, maybe even rethinking what success even means in the 21st century.
Exactly. It's a whole new ball game.
It really makes you think about how, growing up with all this economic uncertainty, how that's going to shape their long-term financial goals. I mean, do they even, like, think about retirement when they're so focused on just getting by today?
That's a really important point. And the article actually touches on that. It mentions that, Gen Z is kind of behind on retirement savings. A lot of them admit to being, slightly or significantly behind where they should be at their age.
Yeah, that's not surprising, is it? Considering everything we've talked about. They've got so many immediate pressures. The future probably feels like, a million miles away.
I get it. It's totally understandable. But it does highlight this potential blind spot, this need to balance, short-term survival with long-term security.
It's like they're running a marathon, but every few miles they have to, stop and put out a fire.
Oh, I like that. That's a great analogy. And it kind of shows why it's so important to give them the right tools, the knowledge they need to navigate all this stuff. It's not just about budgeting or saving. It's about developing the right mindset, the one that lets them think, strategically, but creatively too, about their financial future.
And that's where organizations like Bankrate come in, I guess. They're offering advice that's specifically tailored for Gen Z.
Right. They get it. This generation needs a different approach. And the article mentions a few key pieces of advice. One that really stood out to me was the focus on building an emergency fund.
Which, it sounds kind of counterintuitive when you're, barely making ends meet.
Yeah, you would think. But having that safety net, it can actually...
Yes, building an emergency savings actually saves you from a whole lot of physical pain and emotional pain. But it doesn't have to start with save $1,000. You can save $25, and you can see Gen Z are very stressed about that. So let's continue listening to the chat. I see 5 more people came in. Please sub and like. We're listening to how Gen Z are managing money. So thank you so much for coming in. We like having you here.
Small setbacks from snowballing into major crises.
And it just gives you that peace of mind, knowing you have something to fall back on.
Exactly. You're not constantly on edge.
The article also mentioned how Gen Z can, use technology to find better deals on banking and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. They're already pros at online banking. So they can really use that to their advantage, comparing rates, checking out different options.
Yeah, being a savvy consumer. But it still seems like even with all the advice and, the tools, that anxiety about job security, it's still there.
Yeah. I think that just points to a much bigger issue, one that goes beyond, personal finance. We need to be talking about the future of work. How do we create a system that offers Gen Z more stability, especially when technology is constantly changing how we work?
It's a big question. It's not just about individuals making different choices. It's about creating a system that actually works for everyone.
Right. A system that's fair and sustainable.
Yeah. And that's where I think Gen Z's voice is so important. They're the ones...
A little bit of the ironic part is that the discussion is actually hosted by 2 AI characters, and they're talking about the future of work. And they're talking about creating work that is meaningful. How does that land for you? Because this is actually a very interesting discussion, but it's hosted by 2 AI characters speaking on how Gen Z is managing their money.
So we're going to shape this future. We need to be listening to them.
Absolutely. Their experiences, their anxieties, their hopes, it all gives us a glimpse into what the future of work might look like for all of us.
The article ends on a note of cautious optimism, I guess. It acknowledges all the challenges, but it also highlights Gen Z's resilience, their adaptability. They're on a tough road, that's for sure, but they're finding new ways to navigate it.
I love that. They're not just, accepting things. They're taking control. They're shaping their own destiny.
They're writing a new playbook for financial wellness, one that reflects, the reality of their generation.
Exactly. Resourceful, creative, and they're not afraid to shake things up a bit.
It's like they're pioneering a new path, and it's going to be really interesting to see where it leads. So what does all this mean for you, our listener? We've talked about Gen Z's anxieties, their approach to money, even some of these big questions about the future of work.
Now, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you, what surprised you, and most importantly, how can you apply this to your own life?
Whether you're, a Gen Zer yourself, a parent, or just someone who's interested in where our society is headed, there's something here for everyone.
The financial landscape is always changing, and Gen Z is, they're right at the forefront of that change.
So as you're going about your day, think about this. How might Gen Z's, reliance on technology, their side hustles, their drive to create their own path, how's that going to impact the future of work, the future of financial stability?
It's a big question, but it's a question worth asking. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Gen Z and money. We hope you found it insightful.
It's pretty amazing, right? How they're like challenging the whole idea of what it means to be, financially successful. It's a whole new world out there.
It really is. They're embracing all these new tools and strategies, online banking, investing apps, freelancing, the gig economy. It's making the rest of us rethink how we do things.
Totally. I think there's a lot we can learn from them, like how adaptable.
All right, so that was a lively discussion. They still a couple minutes of it. I'm just gonna cut it there. So what they said is that Gen Z are actually embracing working more. Half of Gen Z have a side hustle, and they're banking with banking apps, and they're really going out of their way to make more money, and they're embracing financial wellness and embracing the future of work. So yeah, that's really all for today. If you found this useful, please make sure you share with a friend. Um, we are sponsored by we're sponsored by the Financial Wellness Score, and hopefully you have taken it and you make it your own. Yeah, thank you so much for coming, and next time please join us as well. I don't know the next time we'll have one, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. Click the link in my bio if you want to know where to start with your finances. I'm willing to help. If you want to DM me, reach out. I'm here for you. I've dropped a link in the chat. This is a good place to start if you're looking to start taking care of your finances in 2024, or if you have somebody who you think should be taking care of their finances in 2024. Feel free to send them that link. It's free. I know you asked. It's free, so don't worry about it. This is just here for you, and thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate you, and that's all I had for today. Any questions? Any questions in the chat? Yes, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe so that more people can get it. More people can make their way to this particular discussion. So in conclusion, Trump might actually try to force his way into buying Greenland. This is a real discussion, and it's based on security. And NVIDIA dropping today is just a reminder that stock picking just doesn't work. Just buy a diversified ETF or index fund, and just sleep like a baby. Lastly, Gen Z is using digital apps to manage money and stay ahead of the curve. So you will see a bit of a difference in how Gen Z is managing money compared to the rest of us. Thank you. Bye. I will answer your question. Thank you so much for dropping the question in the chat. Let me see if I can just bring up the chat. Let me see. All right, give me a sign in the chat that you're excited to find out why NVIDIA is dead. All right, so today NVIDIA dropped 6.2%. And you might know that in the past 2 years, really, maybe 18 months, NVIDIA has been the hottest thing on the market. Like, it went from $12 to $140. Now, we don't expect it to keep going, but it had some really good news today. We went through that news earlier today. Please subscribe as well. I'll be sharing this information very regularly as we go. So Put the like and subscribe. So what happened today is that people sold the news. It was good news. They were talking about how AI is going to get into physical AI. However, the speculators, people who trade stocks, actually sold the stock even though it was good news, and that's why it dropped 6%. That's not to say it's not a good investment. As a matter of fact, we read an analyst that said he had a buy statement issued on the stock, even though it had hit all-time high. Rosenblatt security analyst Hans Mosesman reiterated his buy rating on NVIDIA stock with a price target of 220. So he believes it's going to go from 140 to 220. Even though it's dropped 6% today, he thinks it's on the way to 220. Now, I use that as a way to segue into teaching that picking stocks is really a losing proposition. Because if somebody bought NVIDIA today after hearing all the good news, they were right on buying the right thing, but they were wrong on when to buy it. So when you time the market, you will get it wrong 97% of the time. So what you need to do is just do a risk profiler, ensure that you're buying the S&P 500 or things that are well diversified that also capture NVIDIA without having to go through the trouble of picking stocks. Does that answer your question? Give me a thumbs up if that answers your question. So in short, it's not dead, but if you bought it today on the good news, you are down 6%. And you have to educate yourself on the difference between trading and investing. Investing is buying well-diversified assets at a good price and holding them for a higher price in the future. So that's all I had today. If we have no more questions, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And please subscribe. I need more subscribers. I'm trying to get to, let's say 1,500. If I can get to 1,500, that would be a very good year. Thank you so much. Yeah, please subscribe and share with your friends. I'm a new channel. I'm a very small channel. I will need all your help to try to get these messages to the people who actually can use it. I've been in the banking industry for 12 years, and I want to build this community here, people who talk about finances and things like that without pushing products and stuff like that. Thank you so much, everyone. Please go and subscribe. Go and subscribe. Let's add some more subscribers and share with your friends. If you don't have any more questions, I will leave you with this. Yes, this is a score that I invented. Amazing! We've got one more subscriber. Thank you so much, bye. I really appreciate that. This is a score I invented that actually competes with a credit score. I put the link in the description. And what this does is tells you what you should focus on with your finances. So I know it's always tough to find out how to make priorities. This score will help you, like 8 minutes to know exactly where to start with your finances. And I know 80% of the New Year, New Me goals are actually based on being a better human, or like being fit, or being a combination of healthier, eating better, or being more active. Adding a financial goal is actually not so bad. And if you do, this is a great spot to start. So try it out. The link is in the description. It's Pocketbook Wellness, and I'm out.